The tiny habits that quietly rebuild your life. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, how did I get here? Not in one dramatic moment. Not because of one terrible decision. But slowly. One skipped workout. One late night. One extra purchase. One promise to yourself that you broke quietly when nobody was watching. And then one day, you wake up and realize your body feels heavy. Your mind feels crowded. Your money disappears faster than it arrives. Your confidence is low. And your dreams feel like they belong to someone else. But here is the truth. Your life is not destroyed in one day. And it is not rebuilt in one day either. It is shaped in the small, silent moments. The 5 minutes after your alarm rings. The snack you choose when you are tired. The words you say to yourself after failure. The decision to scroll or to start. Most people are not failing because they lack ambition. They are failing because they are trying to change their life with emotion, instead of building a system. Motivation feels powerful, but it disappears. Goals feel exciting, but they do not carry you. The real force behind transformation is much quieter. It is habit. A tiny action, repeated long enough, becomes a path. A path repeated long enough becomes an identity. And identity repeated long enough becomes destiny. Tonight, we are going to explore how small habits secretly shape your future. And how you can redesign your days so your life begins moving in the direction you actually want. Not with pressure. Not with perfection. But with one small step. Repeated. Cinematic pause. Let's begin. #1. The hidden reason people fail habits. Most people begin change the same way. They wait until they feel disgusted enough with their current life. They look in the mirror and say, enough. Tomorrow I start. They create a big goal. Lose weight. Save money. Wake up early. Become disciplined. Build confidence. Start the business. Read more. Stop wasting time. For a few days, everything feels different. They buy the notebook. They download the app. They clean the room. They prepare the gym clothes. They feel a new version of themselves waking up. But then life returns. A stressful message arrives. Work gets busy. Sleep becomes poor. Someone criticizes them. The weather changes. The body feels tired. The mind says, just today, take a break. And one skipped day becomes 2. 2 becomes a week. A week becomes guilt. Guilt becomes avoidance. And suddenly, the dream is back in the drawer. Pause. This is where most people blame themselves. I'm lazy. I have no discipline. I always fail. I'm just not that type of person. But maybe the problem is not you. Maybe the problem is the way you were taught to change. Most people try to change by focusing only on the result. They say, I want to be fit. But they do not build the daily system of a fit person. They say, I want more money. But they do not build the habits of tracking, saving, learning, and investing. They say, I want confidence. But they continue avoiding every small moment that would train courage. A goal is like choosing a destination on a map. But your habits are the vehicle. If the vehicle is broken, the destination does not matter. You can dream about a better body while eating from the same emotional patterns. You can dream about wealth while spending to impress people who are not even watching. You can dream about focus while living in a room designed for distraction. Goals give direction. Systems create movement. And habits are the small gears inside the system. Here is the first hook you must remember. You do not become successful by wanting a better life. You become successful by making your normal day better, ***. Because your normal day is your real life. Not your vacation. Not your New Year's plan. Not your vision board. Your normal Tuesday. Your ordinary morning. Your tired evening. That is where your future is built. Hashtag 2. Small actions that secretly change lives. Imagine a ship leaving a harbor. At the beginning, it turns only slightly. Just a few degrees. From the shore, nobody notices. The ship still looks like it is going in the same direction. But after many hours, that tiny change in angle leads it to a completely different country. This is how habits work. At first, small actions feel meaningless. One glass of water does not transform your health. One walk does not change your body. One page does not make you wise. One saved dollar does not make you rich. One deep breath does not make you calm. One honest conversation does not make you confident. But repeated long enough, these tiny actions change the destination of your life. The difficult part is that habits often do not reward you immediately. You work out for 3 days. Your body looks the same. You study for 1 week. You still feel confused. You save money for a month. Your bank account still feels small. You wake up early for a few mornings. You still feel tired. So the brain says, this is not working. But it is working. It is just working underground. Like a seed. For weeks, nothing appears above the soil. No flower. No fruit. No proof. But underneath, roots are forming. And without roots, nothing strong can survive. Most people quit because they are looking for flowers before the roots are ready. They mistake invisible progress for failure. But every small habit is making a deposit into your future. A 10-minute walk is a deposit into energy. A healthy meal is a deposit into self-respect. A page of reading is a deposit into wisdom. A budget check is a deposit into freedom. A difficult conversation is a deposit into confidence. A focused work session is a deposit into mastery. Bad habits work the same way. One night of scrolling does not ruin your life. One wasted dollar does not destroy your finances. One skipped workout does not break your body. One lie does not destroy your character. But repeated enough, they become the invisible tax you pay every day. Low energy. Low trust. Low money. Low confidence. Low peace. Time is not kind or cruel. Time simply multiplies what you repeat. If you repeat actions that serve you, time becomes your friend. If you repeat actions that weaken you, time becomes your enemy. That is why tiny habits matter. Not because they are tiny, but because they are repeated. Cinematic transition. And now comes the deeper question. If habits shape your life, what shapes your habits? The answer is identity. Hashtag 3. The psychology of identity change. Most people say, I want to run. But the deeper transformation begins when they say, I am becoming a runner. Most people say, I want to write. But something changes when they say, I am becoming a writer. Most people say, I want to stop wasting money. But the real shift begins when they say, I am becoming someone who respects my future. Behavior change becomes powerful when it is connected to identity. Because we do not like acting against who we believe we are. If you believe you are bad with money, budgeting feels fake. If you believe you are lazy, exercise feels like punishment. If you believe you are shy, speaking up feels unnatural. If you believe you always quit, consistency feels impossible. Your old identity pulls you back like gravity. This is why many people fail. They try to install new habits on top of an old self-image. They try to act healthy while still seeing themselves as undisciplined. They try to act confident while still seeing themselves as weak. They try to act successful while secretly feeling unworthy. And eventually, the old story wins. But identity is not fixed. Identity is trained. Every action you take is like a small vote for the person you are becoming. When you read one page, you vote for being a reader. When you cook a simple healthy meal, you vote for being healthy. When you save a little money, you vote for being financially wise. When you keep one promise to yourself, you vote for being disciplined. When you speak honestly, even with a shaking voice, you vote for being confident. You do not need to win every vote. You just need to win more than you lose. This idea is freeing. Because it means you do not need a perfect day to become a new person. You need one small proof. You do not become confident by waiting until fear disappears. You become confident by taking small actions while fear is still in the room. You do not become disciplined by suddenly loving discomfort. You become disciplined by making the right action so small that you can repeat it even on hard days. A person who wants to become fit does not need to start with a 2-hour workout. They can begin with 2 push-ups. Not because 2 push-ups build a perfect body, but because 2 push-ups build evidence. I am the kind of person who shows up. A person who wants to become wealthy does not need to invest thousands on day 1. They can begin by tracking one expense. Not because one expense changes everything, but because it creates evidence. I am the kind of person who pays attention to money. A person who wants confidence does not need to give a speech to 1,000 people. They can begin by making eye contact. Saying hello first. Asking one question in a meeting. Small proof. Small evidence. Small identity shift. Here is the next hook. Your habits are not just actions. They are mirrors. Every day, they show you who you believe you are ****. So if you want a new life, do not only ask, what do I want to achieve? Ask, who do I want to become? Then prove it with the smallest possible action. #4. How environment controls behavior. Now imagine 2 people trying to eat healthier. The first person keeps cookies on the counter, soda in the fridge, and delivery apps on the front screen of their phone. Every night, they must fight temptation. The second person keeps fruit visible, water on the desk, vegetables already washed, and junk food out of the house. Which person has more discipline? Maybe neither. Maybe one simply designed a better battlefield. We often think behavior comes from personality. But much of our behavior comes from surroundings. You eat what is visible. You use what is convenient. You repeat what is easy. You notice what is in front of you. If your phone is beside your bed, you will check it. If your running shoes are by the door, you are more likely to walk. If your book is on your pillow, you are more likely to read. If your workspace is full of noise, tabs, and notifications, focus will feel impossible. Your environment is not just the place you live. It is the silent hand that guides your choices. A messy desk whispers, delay. A clean notebook whispers, begin. A visible guitar whispers, practice. A hidden guitar says nothing. This is why motivation is overrated. You can feel inspired at night. But if tomorrow your environment is built for your old habits, the old habits will win. So instead of asking, how do I force myself to change? Ask, how do I make the right action obvious? Want to drink more water? Place a bottle where your hand naturally goes. Want to read more? Put the book where you usually place your phone. Want to stop wasting mornings? Put your phone across the room and place your workout clothes beside your bed. Want to save money? Remove shopping apps from your phone and create automatic transfers to savings. Want to focus? Make your desk a place for work only. No snacks. No social media. No entertainment. The best environment reduces the need for heroism. It makes good habits easier to start and bad habits harder to continue. Because self-control is not about fighting temptation forever. It is about creating a life where temptation visits less often. Cinematic transition. And this leads to one of the most important lessons in behavior change. ##5. Why motivation is unreliable. Motivation is like weather. Beautiful when it arrives. Impossible to control. Dangerous to depend on. Some mornings you wake up ready to conquer the world. Other mornings you wake up feeling like your soul is still loading. If your habits depend on motivation, your life will be inconsistent. Because your emotions are inconsistent. Discipline does not mean you always feel like doing it. Discipline means the action is designed so clearly that you can do it even when you do not feel special. This is why small habits are powerful. They lower the emotional cost of starting. If your goal is work out for 1 hour, your tired brain may say no. But if your habit is put on shoes and walk for 2 minutes, your brain has less resistance. If your goal is write a chapter, fear appears. But if your habit is write 1 sentence, you can begin. If your goal is clean the whole house, you feel overwhelmed. But if your habit is clear 1 surface, you create motion. Starting is the gate. Once you start, continuing becomes easier. The hardest part of most habits is not the action. It is the transition. From bed to standing. From couch to shoes. From phone to notebook. From thinking to doing. So make the beginning tiny. Not because you want tiny results. But because tiny beginnings defeat resistance. There is a quiet rule of life. A habit must be established before it can be improved. Do not worry about running 5 kilometers if you cannot walk for 5 minutes. Do not worry about reading 50 books if you cannot read 1 page. Do not worry about becoming a millionaire if you cannot save $10. Start small enough that failure becomes difficult. Then let repetition build strength. #6. Tiny routines that build massive success. Let us make this practical. A powerful life is not built from one giant routine. It is built from small routines placed at the right moments. Morning. Workday. Meals. Evening. Money. Fitness. Confidence. Let's begin with the morning. Pause. Most people lose the day in the first 30 minutes. They wake up and immediately give their attention away. Messages. News. Notifications. Other people's problems. Before they even stand up, their mind belongs to the world. A better morning does not need to be complicated. Try this. Wake up. Drink water. Make your bed. Get light on your face. Move your body for 2 minutes. Write the one most important task of the day. That is enough. Simple. Repeatable. Grounding. For productivity, use a starting ritual. Before deep work, do the same small sequence every time. Clear the desk. Put the phone away. Open only 1 tab. Set a timer for 25 minutes. Write the first sentence or complete the first small action. This tells your brain. Now we begin. For fitness, stop depending on extreme plans. Build a minimum routine. 5 squats after brushing your teeth. A 10-minute walk after lunch. Stretching while coffee brews. Push-ups before showering. The body changes when movement becomes normal. Not dramatic. Normal. For money, create habits that remove emotion. Check your spending every Sunday. Save automatically when income arrives. Wait 24 hours before buying non-essential things. Track one number, how much you kept, not just how much you earned. Wealth is not only built by income. It is built by behavior. A person can earn a lot and stay broke if their habits leak money. A person can earn modestly and build freedom if their habits protect money. For confidence, practice small courage. Confidence is not something you find. It is something you collect. One brave moment at a time. Say your opinion once. Ask for what you need. Walk with better posture. Keep a promise to yourself. Do something uncomfortable and survive it. The brain learns. I can handle this. For discipline, create an evening reset. At night, do not only collapse. Prepare. Clean one small area. Set clothes for tomorrow. Write tomorrow's first task. Put your phone away from the bed. Sleep like your future depends on it. Because it does. These routines look small. Almost too small. But that is the secret. They are small enough to repeat. And what repeats, grows. #7. Real-life transformation examples. Let me tell you about a man named Daniel. Not famous. Not rich. Not naturally disciplined. Daniel worked long hours, came home tired, ordered food, watched videos, and slept late. Every Monday he promised to change. Every Friday he felt ashamed. His problem was not desire. He wanted a better life badly. His problem was that his life was designed for the old version of him. His phone charged beside the bed. His fridge was full of quick junk food. His gym clothes were buried in a drawer. His salary entered one account and disappeared without a plan. So Daniel stopped trying to become a new person overnight. He changed one thing. He moved his phone charger to the kitchen. That was it. The first morning felt strange. He had to stand up to turn off the alarm. Since he was already standing, he drank water. After a few days, he placed his walking shoes beside the kitchen door. Then he walked for 5 minutes. 5 minutes became 10. 10 became 20. After walking, he felt slightly better. So he began eating a simple breakfast. Then he started sleeping earlier because mornings had value. 3 months later, people said, "You look different." But Daniel knew the truth. He did not transform in one moment. He changed the first domino. Now imagine a woman named Sarah. Sarah was intelligent, but her confidence was low. In meetings, she had ideas, but she stayed silent. Later, she watched others say the same things and receive praise. She told herself, "I'm just not confident." But instead of forcing herself to become bold overnight, she created a tiny habit. Before every meeting, she wrote one sentence. "One thing I can add today is." Then her only goal was to say that one thing. The first time, her voice shook. The second time, it still shook. But after a few weeks, something shifted. She was no longer the quiet person. She was becoming someone who contributes. Confidence came after evidence. Now think about a young couple trying to fix their money. They used to argue every month. Not because they were irresponsible people, but because their system was unclear. So they created a Sunday money ritual. Tea on the table. Laptop open. No blaming. Just numbers. What came in? What went out? What do we save? What do we adjust? At first, it felt uncomfortable. Then it became normal. The arguments decreased. The savings increased. The relationship softened. Money became less emotional because the habit created trust. These stories matter because they prove something powerful. You do not need to rebuild your entire life today. You need to find one small action that creates a chain reaction. One habit that makes the next habit easier. One decision that changes the room. One routine that protects your future. #8. Daily systems for productivity and focus. In a distracted world, focus is almost an act of rebellion. Everything wants your attention. Your phone. Your inbox. Your group chats. Your worries. Your own restless mind. And if you do not decide where your attention goes, the world will decide for you. Productivity is not about doing more things. It is about doing the right things with less friction. Start each day with one question. What is the one task that would make today feel successful? Not 10 tasks. 1. Write it down. Then protect the first focused block of your day for that task. Before messages. Before social media. Before the noise. Use the rule of reducing choices. If every morning you decide when to work, where to work, what to open, what to do first, and how long to focus, your brain gets tired before you begin. Instead, create a fixed system. Same place. Same starting ritual. Same first task review. Same timer. Here is a simple focus system. First, remove the phone from reach. Second, choose one task. Third, set a timer for 25 minutes. Fourth, work only until the timer ends. Fifth, take a short break. Sixth, repeat. This is not glamorous. But deep work rarely looks glamorous. It looks like a person alone with a task, refusing to escape. For digital discipline, remember this. Your phone is not just a tool. It is an environment. And many apps are designed like casinos for attention. Bright colors. Endless feeds. Random rewards. Notifications. Social approval. You are not weak for finding them addictive. They were built to be addictive. So do not fight them with willpower alone. Change the design. Remove non-essential notifications. Delete apps during workdays. Use grayscale mode. Keep the phone outside the bedroom. Create app limits. Replace scrolling with a visible book, journal, or walking shoes. Focus is easier when distraction is not invited into the room. #9. How to break bad habits without hating yourself. Many people try to break bad habits through shame. They insult themselves. They punish themselves. They create harsh rules. But shame often creates stress. And stress often sends people back to the same habit they were trying to escape. Pause. If you overeat because of stress, hating yourself creates more stress. If you overspend because you feel empty, guilt can make the emptiness worse. If you procrastinate because a task feels scary, calling yourself lazy makes the task feel even heavier. Bad habits are often not random. They are solutions. Not good solutions. Not healthy solutions. But solutions your brain learned. Scrolling solves boredom. Junk food solves emotional discomfort. Shopping solves insecurity. Avoidance solves fear. Anger solves feeling powerless. If you want to break a bad habit, ask, what problem is this habit trying to solve? Then find a better solution. If you scroll at night because you feel lonely, maybe the real habit is connection. Call someone earlier. Join a community. Journal honestly. Create an evening ritual that comforts you without stealing your sleep. If you snack when stressed, maybe the real habit is relief. Try walking. Breathing. Tea. A shower. A short reset. If you overspend to feel successful, maybe the real need is self-worth. Track progress. Build skills. Celebrate savings. Stop buying a fake identity and start building a real one. Pause. To weaken a bad habit, make it less obvious, less attractive, harder to do, and less satisfying. Hide the cue. Change the story. Add friction. Create accountability. Want to stop eating junk at night? Do not keep it in the house. Want to stop checking your phone while working? Put it in another room. Want to stop impulse buying? Remove saved cards and wait 1 day before purchase. Want to stop sleeping late? Create a shutdown alarm and keep screens away from the bed. The goal is not to become a person who never feels temptation. The goal is to become a person whose life is designed so temptation has fewer doors. #10. Final emotional life lesson and motivational ending. One day, your life will be the result of what you repeated. Not what you wanted. Not what you planned. Not what you promised. What you repeated. And that may sound frightening. But it is actually hopeful. Because if repetition built the life you have now, repetition can build the life you want next. You are not trapped. You are trained. And what has been trained can be retrained. You do not need to become perfect. You do not need to change everything this week. You do not need a dramatic comeback story. You only need to begin casting votes for your future self. 1 glass of water. 1 walk. 1 saved dollar. 1 focused hour. 1 honest conversation. 1 page. 1 prayer. 1 deep breath. 1 early night. 1 promise kept. At first, nobody may notice. Your family may not notice. Your friends may not notice. The mirror may not notice. Your bank account may not notice. But you will know. And that matters. Because self-respect is built in private. Every time you do what you said you would do, a quiet part of you begins to trust you again. That trust becomes confidence. That confidence becomes momentum. That momentum becomes identity. And identity becomes a life. So tonight, do not ask yourself to change everything. Ask yourself, what is the smallest habit I can repeat tomorrow? Make it obvious. Make it easy. Make it something you can do even on a bad day. Then do it. And the next day, do it again. Not because it changes everything immediately, but because it changes the direction. A river cuts through stone not because it is powerful for 1 second, but because it keeps flowing. Be the river. Quiet. Steady. Patient. Unstoppable. Your future is not waiting in some distant moment. It is being written in the next small choice. So choose one habit. Start small. Stay consistent. And let time become your ally. If this message helped you, take one action right now. Write down one habit you will begin tomorrow. Just one. And if you want more calm, powerful lessons for building a better life, subscribe to the channel. Because the person you want to become is not created by one big decision. They are created daily. Quietly. One atomic habit at a time.